Welcome to the Astro Guy podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Zuhl. If you love astronomy and have ever thought, I wish I could capture a view like that, then you're going to love this episode. We're going to learn about a group that's all about photographing the night sky, the West Virginia Astrophotography Association, or WVAA. WVAA isn't your typical astronomy club. While many groups focus on observing, this organization is all about astrophotography, capturing stunning images of everything from the moon and planets to deep sky objects and nightscapes. But they're not just snapping pictures, they're also teaching, inspiring, and advocating for dark skies. Joined by founding member Bill Brown and Jonathon Eggleston, we'll dive into what makes WVAA unique, how they're helping astrophotographers of all skill levels, and why dark sky preservation is a key part of their mission. We'll also hear about their monthly image challenges, star parties, and educational resources, including their YouTube channel, which is packed with tutorials for anyone looking to get started, as well as their Discord meetings and more. Of course, please like, subscribe, and all the other podcasty stuff. We appreciate it. Okay, that's enough of me yakking. Let's get to the interview and learn all about the WVAA. I want to welcome Bill Brown and Jonathon Eggleston from the WVAA, or the West Virginia Astrophotography Association. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, excellent. So I never want to get it wrong. So, before we started, Bill and I were talking briefly about some different clubs, and you guys are a very unique club as far as what your focus is, but the focus obviously is astrophotography. So how did this club start?
Very good question. So like everybody that starts down the astrophotography road, there's not really one concise place that somebody can go and start looking for information. You know, when I jumped in, I started looking for an astrophotography-based organization, and believe it or not, I couldn't find one in the entire United States. You know, you find astronomy clubs everywhere, and there be maybe one or two individuals that do astrophotography. And over the course, you know, it takes a year, 2 years to even get your feet under you, really, with a traditional astrophotography rig, to decide on a route to take. And I thought, boy, it sure would be nice to have all this in one place to begin with for people. And then also let them experience astrophotography with our smart scopes, which we adopted. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then they can decide on what they really want to get out of astrophotography. And then we offer mentorship as well as camaraderie and a common place in a community online for folks to go to learn about equipment, methods, software, data processing, you know, everything that's entailed with astrophotography. We also teach some astronomy that goes along with this. You can't really do one without the other, as you're aware of. So, you know, we teach some night sky navigation, a little bit about how the universe works, what's available to find the objects you want, and then how to get to those objects and actually photograph them. So really it began with that thought process, and I launched a astrophotography weekend 2 years ago, just as a filler to see if there was enough interest to start a nonprofit based on this, and it went over extremely well. And there was about 6 original astrophotographers that banded together, and we joined this, and it's purely outreach and education based. We do it for that joy of outreach and education and helping others. So it's a really unique organization. We don't have any fixed facilities. We have an online community. We meet through Discord. And our star parties right now are all around the state. So we kind of bring the star party to an area near you. So you can come out, enjoy a family fun night out under the stars. We have our star parties that are sort of coffee and stars theme, where we offer coffee to the public and hot cocoa and things like that. And it's just a real joy to see everybody be able to come out, enjoy the night sky, learn a little bit about it, and then take their own photograph utilizing one of our smart scopes and share that with their friends, their family, and everybody else.
So obviously this is great because you created a brand new type of club. Essentially, there's really no. I mean, there are specialized astronomy clubs out there. I think Jonathon probably knows this from when we first talked a few years ago. But where I grew up right around the corner from a community college, and there was an observatory there that's run by a local club, which I'm still a member of. And I learned a tremendous amount. I remember the guys that did astrophotography there back in the 1970s. They were doing they were using black and white film, and they were using food dye to color images of the planets. It was really like cutting edge stuff for the time. Now you look back on it, it's like caveman stuff, but it's really cool to see how the hobby has progressed, because it has, boy, has it ever progressed. But what are the main goals of WVAA? Obviously, you're spreading the word about astrophotography, but there's got to be more to it than that, right?
We are, yes. Our initial goal was to promote interest in astrophotography and introduce the public and provide every member all the opportunity to be exposed through, the physical star parties, the mentorship that we offer, and then our virtual community as well, to advance their knowledge or any skills that would be involved with astrophotography. As you're aware, there's a ton that you can just grow and grow and grow, and you can diversify into, planetary, you can go deep sky objects, you can do solar. There's just so much up there that you can do. And then to achieve whatever their individual astrophotography goals are, the artistic side, we're blending science with art and letting the people express themselves that way.
I love that you're bringing that side of it in there, because I think that's really important, because that anybody can take a picture of a galaxy or a nebula or a planet or the moon, but to make it their own and individual, and to highlight it in a way that speaks to them is really, I think it's very enlightening, and it gives you a real connection to what you're imaging and what you're looking at. So people coming out to WVAA events for the first time, new people, what do you have for the new people that are coming into it?
Well, we've heard this comment so many times. It's and we take it and wear it as sort of a badge of honor. We're an extremely friendly and encouraging group. We're right there one-on-one with the public and the new folks that come out. We do specific things, even during the daytime, star parties for kids and educational stuff. We've done outdoor classroom during the day for Kanawha County schools, things of that nature. So, we want to be a welcoming organization. So we welcome everybody from complete beginners with no foreknowledge of astronomy or astrophotography, all the way to the extremely advanced, narrowband photographer that has 6 dedicated scopes and 10 cameras that they switch out, along with all the filters and everything else. So, we just offer the mentorship. And again, you mentioned the smart scopes, so we'll dig into those shortly. But we also offer, as I mentioned earlier, some astronomy lessons with it, because you can't really separate the two. You have to understand a little bit about it and the night sky along with that. So we can guide you in equipment choices as well. If you give us any goals, you give us a budget level or anything like that, we'll help guide you through that vast array of equipments out there as well. Just to cater that and curtail it to your goals that you want to pursue in the hobby, and then also the processing aspect of it through the various numbers of software that's out there, from the free software that you can use all the way up to, the same software that's used for Hubble and James Webb processing, PixInsight. We're versed in that as well. So we offer that free to the public, during our workshops and our annual conference, which will be coming up in July this year.
you do these star parties, and I'm guessing that you do them every month, or is it quarterly? What's the frequency of the star parties, and where do you do them? And tell us about the star parties.
Okay, so our goal is to have at least one WVAA Coffee and Stars star party a month. And that's our main star parties we have. We are just in the process of standing up a new program called Sidewalk Astronomy, to where there'll be smaller, just little pop-ups. And if there's a special event that comes up that we hear about outside of our scheduled star parties, we'll have pop-up star parties for those things as well. We also do, if somebody requests a star party, an organization or a school or scout troop or anything like that, we're happy to come out and put on a star party for you. But our main star parties, they're held at various locations throughout the state currently, and they change. We try to find some dark sky locations, which provide, the best optimal viewing, of course. And that will expand outside of the state at some point. But right now, we try to make it in an area where somebody doesn't have to drive 6, 7, 8 hours to come to a star party. You may have to drive an hour, or it could be in your very own neighborhood. We announce these locations and everything on our Facebook page and all of our social media, as well as our Discord community server. So all these events, again, are completely free, family friendly, and we do have the hot cocoa, like I said, for the young kids. We have coffee. Several of us are very experienced home roasters, so we're coffee aficionados. So we offer the free coffees, and then for the fancy barista coffees, it's for donation, just to keep this type of thing going out to the public.
Go ahead.
Attendees can expect one-on-one help or one-on-one advice from one of our experienced astrophotographers. And here's where I'm going to talk about our smart scopes, maybe just a little bit.
Sure.
So we originally started out with the C-Star S50. We have a number of those where the public can come. They download an application on their smart device, be it a phone or tablet, and then we guide them through connecting to the telescope, guide them through the interface, and they get to choose their target. They drive the telescope to it, and they watch the image appear on their own smart device as it takes the exposures, building and stacking, until it gets to a point where they like it, and then they can stop the exposures, and it saves it to their smart device. Then they can do some post-processing on those devices, or we can get to the data later in a workshop if it's over a weekend, and then they can learn with some software on a PC of their choice. So, like I said, we started out with the S50s. We have a S30 that is coming, and we recently partnered with Dwarf Labs, so we have a Dwarf 2 and a Dwarf 3 as well.
Nice.
And they're all very similar, just little different interfaces. And the public, like I said, they're free for them to come out and connect to those. And if you have your own device or your own telescope, you're welcome to bring those out. Say if you got somebody got one for Christmas and they don't know how to use it, bring it to a star party near you, and we will teach you how to use it and everything about your telescope.
That's wonderful. And the Sea Star, the Dwarf, that they're very affordable. I mean, those instruments are under $500 or right around $500 or less, and they do so much, and they're so easy to use and really intuitive, that even 10 years ago that was we never thought there'd be something like that, and now it's within such easy reach that anybody can do it. But then there's so much more to it than just gathering the data, as we know. How many different smart scopes do you have and do you lend them out to members?
We have the club actually owns 3 S50s, One, two, three, four of our officers own them as well. And we bring those, so those are available to the public. And we have one dwarf 2, one dwarf 3, and we have the S30. So there's a number there that, and even for a sizable group of the public that comes in, they all have time on these devices, and we plan to expand. We're doing that as we can. These are also part of what we call our lending library, and for members, provided that there's no star party, they're able to check these out over a weekend, or if they're going on a small trip, they can take them with them and bring them back, prior to the star party. So that's one of the benefits of membership in WVAA is access to the lending library.
That's a great advantage of membership. I know a lot of clubs do that, but that it just to make it accessible for your members so they can try it out and learn the sky and learn the equipment. It's a great thing. Now I know we're kind of stuck on the star party thing here for a minute, but how many people do you get coming out for the star parties on average?
Typical star party right now has been running in the 30 to 50 range that we're using. So, some bring their own equipment, of course, and then we have general public that comes out as well to use the smart scopes.
That can really vary on the location too.
Yeah.
Depending on the location, we get a bigger crowd at, Calhoun County does really well.
Right. And take, for example, I'm going to throw the extreme out here. I took 3 sea stars to the eclipse in 24. And I'd set up, unbeknownst to me, at an eclipse watch party. I got there before everybody. I was in a big field all by myself. And then they started pulling in food trucks and then loading facilities for everybody. So there was about, 15 to 20,000 people there. Wow. So they all flock over to somebody's got all the equipment. So I had C-Star set up. I had, a traditional Astro rig set up. I had a DSLR set up. Luckily, I had some iPads and things like that. So everybody just thoroughly enjoyed and got introduced to, the smart telescopes there and a little bit about WVAA.
Where was that? Where'd you go for the eclipse?
Evansville, Indiana.
Ah, okay, nice. It was a fun eclipse.
It was. That was, believe it or not, as old as I am, that was my first, but it definitely will not be my last. So I'll be a chaser now.
Yeah. It was my. Oh, go ahead, Jonathan. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say it was my first too. Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's really, really mind blowing. My first one was my first total that I saw was 2017. We went to Kansas City for that, and we were dodging clouds. And we only had about 10 seconds of totality between, peeking through the clouds. And for the one this past April, my wife and I drove up to Buffalo, New York, which was it's a great city. And there's a lot to do, and the weather prospects for Buffalo turned out to be really bad. So that morning we drove 8 hours to the other side of New York State and ended up right on the border with Vermont on Lake Champlain. And we saw the eclipse there, and it was wonderful. It was, I don't think I've been that excited in a very, very long time. And I've seen annular eclipses and certainly partial eclipses, but that feeling during totality is just such a surreal thing. And you really feel that connection to our place in the universe, which I just love. So there's got to be some, I know that you do a lot on Discord, that you kind of hold meetings on Discord and you do gatherings there. And you do image challenges. So I'd like to learn a little bit more about the image challenges and how that goes with the work that you're doing on Discord.
Sure. So our challenges are open to the general public, so anybody can join the server, which is another free thing, and submit an image. Each month, there's a different challenge that is posted. It may be capture a DSO in the Orion constellation, and you'll post your image, and those are all posted anonymously. You have to message our bot, and it will post it, so there's no references or anything. And then when it comes time to vote on those in the poll, again, that's through anonymous voting on the bot. So, and then the winner of that, and we'll dig more into the challenge itself, but the winner of that each month is inducted into what we call our Hall of Fame. So that image with all the captured details, which are gathered after the judgment, is it goes into our Hall of Fame, and we utilize that on social media. We'll promote it out and give credit to the individual that took it. One of the things that, being part of military, I was really big on challenge coins. So I thought, I'll design up a challenge coin for this, a little better than the certificate. So, we give free. This is one side of the challenge coin, which has our logo on it. And then the other side of the coin, which I'll send you some pictures of these. Sure. It has a custom design I came up with. It's a refractor telescope set up. There's some mountains in the background, nice sunset, Milky Way above, and a log cabin on it. We kind of tried to keep the West Virginia theme with this. So it's a really nice little reward for someone that wins the challenges. And these challenges, we want to make it friendly as well. This is not just for advanced astrophotographers. This is for anyone. You can vote for, somebody that's their very first time. They took a picture of, say, back to the Orion constellation. They took their first picture of Orion, and they worked really hard on this picture. And, if you compare that to somebody that spent 300 hours that month gathering data, it's going to be a difference. But, for someone's first image or someone that's worked hard, that's something that they've achieved, something they're proud of. So those are all in the contest as well. And everything, like I said, is voted on anonymously. So definitely don't hold back. I encourage everybody to enter every picture that they take that coincides with the challenge rules. And typically those rules will include, the data has to be captured that month, or in some cases, we'll say 50% of the data has to be captured within that month, and you can add to it. There'll be narrowband challenges. There'll be dark nebula challenges. There'll be galaxy challenges. All these things change every month, or it could be something out of the Caldwell catalog, something of that nature. We try to make it different every month. We are starting, our bots are having some issues right now, so our tech guys working on that, but we're going to start having 2 challenges a month. One will be dedicated to smart scope only, and the other one will be open forum for anyone to enter. Be traditional scope, smart scope, or even a remote scope. If you buy time on a remote scope to get your data out of state in a dark sky location, we want it open to those individuals as well.
Okay, well, that sounds like a lot of fun, and it's certainly a good way to get people interested and to learn about different techniques and certainly different objects and things to image. But you hit on a topic that is something that's really important to me, and that's dark skies and light pollution. Living, I was saying before, I live about 20 miles from New York City, and it's pretty bright here. Even being this close to New York City, if you have filters and you have enough data, you can still salvage decent images. It takes a heck of a lot longer to do. I mean, that's 30 hours on that image behind me that, you guys could probably do in 4 hours and get the same amount of data. But the dark sky thing is so important, protecting dark skies and teaching people about light pollution. And I know that's part of your mission. So I'd like to hear more about that and how you're doing that.
It is. It's a very, very valuable part of our mission. Like you mentioned, dark skies they're rapidly diminishing as population grows. What used to be dark now, I know it's on a Bortle scale. If it was Bortle 2, now it may be Bortle 8, just because of the encroaching light. So this is a very valuable resource that we have to protect. Some of the folks from the major urban cities that look up at the sky and maybe see 6 stars total. Never seen the Milky Way. And these are things that are readily visible in the night sky. And it's just amazing the first time you come to a dark sky location and see all of this. You'll see the satellites traveling over and everything else. And I grew up with that as a kid. So that was very important to me to incorporate part of that in the organization. So one of the ways we promote this is we have partnered with the University of Tennessee, and they have an initiative. It's getting ready to kick off, actually, but it is to blaze a dark sky trail across the Appalachian Range. And with that, that will entail identifying locations. And at those locations, some of the education material kind of needs to be standardized, or it would be easy to where somebody could teach these different astronomy lessons, the dark sky stuff, and everything like that. So we will be involved with developing some of that as well, that will be dispersed at all of those locations. We have certain number of individuals have sat on different dark sky committees as well. I sat on one of Blackwater Falls for a little while until it took more time. I needed to work on WVAA, of course, and as you said, like gets in the way. So they have done a really good job up there, and they're working on their certification as a dark sky location now. There's different things you can do. I know there's been a big push for LED lighting, and my research in LED lighting, there's some good and some bad both there. So believe it or not, for astrophotographers, LED lighting is not necessarily a good thing. It does save on energy, it saves on other things, but that is a broadband light. Mm-hmm. And broadband is across the entire spectrum. You can't filter it out like you can with what you did behind you. So in that case, some of the older lights, sodium lights and things like that, has a particular band, and we can filter that out. So I found that interesting in some of the research, and some of the folks were not aware of that. But as long as it's directional and shielding and things like that, it does reduce the light footprint, so to speak.
Yeah, it's so important to teach people about light pollution, because it's not just preserving the night sky, which is so important, but there's so much more to it. About a year ago, I did an interview with Dr. Mario Motta. He's a cardiologist, a retired cardiologist out of Boston, but he's a board member with the IDA, and he's done research papers on how light pollution affects people's health and animal health and people. And it was in that interview, I learned so much doing that interview with him. It was really amazing. It was a lot of fun and very cool. And it's really important, I think, to let people know we're not just worried about us being able to see the stars. There's so much more to it. But there is a certain element of it that when people do see it, that they get blown away, especially when they're not used to it. I know here in New Jersey, in the last few months, there was a whole thing with people thought they were seeing drones in the sky, and most of them turned out to just be airplanes. But they were. I was kind of happy because people were going out and looking up at the night sky, And my favorite one was they were seeing Venus and thinking it was a drone that was hovering. It's there every night. But it's that education and people going out there and looking and learning, and people are they're gonna pick it up. They're gonna understand that there's a benefit, and when you realize the health benefits of it, it's mind-boggling. And I encourage anybody who's watching or listening to watch the episode that I did with Mario Motta, because it's really enlightening and very interesting, and there's some really good stuff. And he's a very interesting guy. He's got one of the most incredible home observatories you'd ever see. He's got a homemade 32-inch telescope at his house outside of Boston. I mean, were you guys out in West Virginia, you don't think light pollution is going to be a big deal, but wherever there's people, there's light pollution, and we have to deal with it. 25, almost 30 years ago, up in Vermont, near Stellafane, just a few miles away, the state of Vermont wanted to build a prison. And as you know, with prisons, there's a lot of light. And we worked with, it was Howard Dean was the governor at the time, and I won't say whether he was good or bad to deal with, but it wasn't easy. And part of that was the regulations in Vermont. And but we worked with the prison, we worked with the state, we worked with the prison board. We got an environmental lighting contractor out of Denver to help, and the prison was built, and it's in operation today. And it's probably, as far as light pollution goes, it's probably one of the best, if not the best, in the country. They implemented they took a lot of the suggestions that we gave them, and they're all shielded lights. The only thing that we didn't win on was they wouldn't balk on the ground, which is white pea stone, and it reflects that light up, unfortunately. Yeah, but it is shielded light, and if you've ever been up to Stellafane, it's one of the largest gatherings on the East Coast. The skies are still pretty dark up there. They're not what they used to be. I remember in the 1980s, the first time I went up in 1981, I think. It was wild. I remember I was a teenager, but I couldn't find my way around the skies because there were so many stars. I couldn't make out the constellations, and it's disorienting when there's that many stars when you're not used to it. So it's one of the things I'm very passionate about with light pollution. When I speak, I always talk about light pollution and the importance of it. So I'm glad we got to spend a few minutes on that. I know that you guys have a YouTube channel, and you use that to promote your outreach, your educational outreach. But can you talk about the YouTube channel and go into some details about what you do with it and how it benefits the organization and the members?
Yeah, I'll let Jonathon start this because, I'll just let him start it, and then maybe I'll fill in a few things. Go ahead, Jonathon.
The YouTube channel actually started as the West Virginia Astronomy. It was kind of just a passion project I was doing on the side to just kind of, show people I was getting into astrophotography, just kind of like my journey along the way, kind of vlogging, stuff like that, and started getting people commenting on my pictures and stuff like that. So I kind of formed a little group of people on Messenger, and that's where I met Bill, other astrophotographers, and yeah, we kind of linked up that night. He talked about starting the organization, so this took up a lot of my time, the WVAA anyway, so I figured we kind of all had the same goal. So, I just talked to Bill, and we had decided to just switch the channel over to the official WVAA channel and see where it goes from there. We kind of, I'm able to kind of work on the channel, which was my original passion, and kind of knock out WVAA at the same time, and it seems to be doing well. I feel like I can do a lot more with the channel with it being the organization. Yeah, there's just a lot more opportunities there to kind of reach more of the public and get the other members involved with kind of helping me do tutorials and stuff like that. So
it's a mix of different types of videos that you're doing, or?
yeah, I mean, they're gonna, yeah, more now where we got the organization, we're gonna kind of focus it around events going on, star parties like that. And we're gonna kind of do some tutorial videos. But yeah, I still kind of use it to do my vlog videos too. If I'm just kind of shooting the Horsehead Nebula and I want to document it, I'll go ahead and just do that. And it kind of mixed West Virginia astronomy with the organization. So
Yeah, it's a little blend. So
yeah.
along with those, it's a place where people can watch our team review equipment, and as Jonathon just mentioned, photograph and process an object, which is very nice to see, start to finish, the whole process that's involved. And then also see what to expect for a venue and what WVAA Star Party is about. We're going to start focusing, as he mentioned, learning new techniques and processing images that we can offer up to the public, and they can see how to use Russell Crowe's Blur Exterminator 3 in PixInsight and see how to process an image utilizing that. So there's so much out there that we can offer on this, and we're just jump starting in and kicking off a new refresh with the media. So it'll be something to watch out for, and check us out on YouTube, and hopefully you'll learn something in the process.
And we'll put the addresses up there so everyone can see it. But can you just remind us again what the web page and the Discord and all the different ways people can reach WVAA?
Okay, just total for our social media, we have, as we just covered, the YouTube channel. We have Facebook. We have Discord community server, which that's where we do a lot of interaction. We provide help on that as well. Our challenges are on there, so lots on there, monthly meetings. We also have an Instagram, which is going to be utilized a little more in the future. We have an X account, and we do have a web page that's being stood up, and we'll give you that link as well. Right now, it's a placeholder that has our other social media links on it.
So one of the things I had asked was in the pre-interview, I guess, was what challenges as astrophotographers in West Virginia do you commonly face, and how are you helping your members and people overcome those challenges?
Well, it kind of ties back to why we formed. It's not just limited to West Virginia. It's anywhere. Finding a concise place or community that will give you all the options and help guide you and mentor you in the whole astrophotography process. It's a single location where we try to consolidate everything as well as help, and in the processing. It's a free place for a family to go have a good weekend out or a night out. Specific challenges, kind of difficult to list all of those. Some of the locations are a little more remote because we do try to find dark sky locations. West Virginia being mountainous, a flat area sometimes is difficult to find, but we strive to put these star parties on in locations that provides optimal sky viewing. In other words, the very best is horizon to horizon sky. And that's what we aim for. But there may be some limitations to that. The workshops, again, are limited to only locations that provides a facility that can accommodate a workshop. So, we hold those at some of our better, or not better. We hold some of those at our bigger locations, such as state parks, Calhoun County Park. Also, we partnered with them, and they have a wonderful sky gazing area as well as a facility for workshops. So just getting out to the individual people and around and making it available sometimes is a little bit of a challenge, but I think we have a very good plan to attack that. And the online community as well has offered a solution to one of those problems as far as a place where everybody can go and meet and join up and get the information or get help, or say, if I ping Jonathon and say, Jonathon, hey, take a look at this data, what are your thoughts here? What would you do to process this? So we offer all that as well. And that is truly a nice feature to have in the organization, is a common place, no matter where you are, without borders, to join together as a team, and the camaraderie as well. It's just a wonderful, wonderful advantage to have that available to us.
How many members do you have now?
I think we have actual members of the organization. It's in the 30s or 40s right now, and we have some of those, believe it or not, outside of the country. So now on Discord, which we offer, it's also a free community. That is currently about 145, I think, was the last count I saw out there. So we have active people on Discord, are going to outweigh the official membership, of course. But, we offer to everyone. So if you just want to join our Discord, please come do that, and we can get together and try to help you in your goals. Or if you'd like to be part of the organization, or even help out with the organization, this is where the fun comes in. You get to help educate others, and outreach to kids is a big thing for me. I'm always trying to do that and get them involved in something that is interesting, something they can learn from, and get them involved early with that, and give them a purpose, basically.
That's wonderful. It's so important too, especially when they're young, to get them interested in it. So, I'd like to touch a little bit more on the club and the membership. I know it's a very affordable to join, and you're in a lot of places. So how can individuals, how do people get involved? I know we mentioned the social media and all that, but I'd like to do it again because I think it's really important. Just to talk about how people can get to you, what the costs are, and all that.
Sure. So folks can reach us in any of our social media or in person at one of our star parties. And if you're interested, and let us know, we will get you an application. It's a simple contact information, basically, that you're filling out. And as far as the fees go, it's $25 a year for a membership into the organization. That also gets you a membership in the Astronomical League. So part, or almost a third of that, goes to those dues as well. And there's a lot of good benefits from Astronomical League, from personal insurance on equipment that you would have, all the way through to education materials. And there's a vast array of those that are out there as well with the Astronomical League. So that is probably the easiest way to get a hold of us. Go ahead, Jonathon.
I was just going to say the new membership form was just recently posted on our Facebook page, the updated one for 2025. So you can actually go on there. It's a recent post just from the other day. It's the membership form. If anybody wants to check it out there, you can do that.
And we'll have links to all that in the show notes so people can get a hold of it.
So along with the membership fees as well, I did want to mention that prior military, I'm always got a soft part for military as well. We offer a military discount on that, and also family membership as well. So we have opened up a new version of membership, and that's a lifetime membership. And basically, we are trying to build up our lending library. So if someone would donate a smart scope or the amount of a smart scope, that will get them a lifetime membership in the organization as well. So again, furthering the cause of outreach and education.
Yeah, you've made it easy for people, and I love that the fact that you've got people that aren't in West Virginia, that they're kind of all over. I think this is something I might want to get involved in as well. Not that I have time, but
Awesome.
What do you have coming up as far as the club goes? I know you had mentioned something about Bryce Canyon and some other things, but I'd love to hear about what you have coming up and how people can get to that.
Sure. So again, our monthly star parties. We just finished up our strategic planning for the year, and we've outlined all of our star parties. The schedules will be posted very shortly, and I think some of them already are for the upcoming months. Along with that is our annual conference that I touched on a little bit earlier. That's in July 25th to 27th, and that will be at Blackwater Falls as well. Free to come to it. The lodging, you just need to contact the lodge. We have the information on our flyer for that. And they have cabins as well as rooms and a campground. That's sort of a unique, again, conference. So how that works is the evening that everyone arrives, there's a free star party. And then the next morning, we start out in individual presentations and workshops. For those presentations and workshops, we have state and world-class speakers do their presentations for us. We've had some of the big names come in and do those. Nico Carver has come in and been a guest speaker. We have a gentleman that lives on the island of Crete in Greece, Agapio Elia. And he has been very kind to us and done a live data capture with a group of individuals for planetary work. And then we do the processing workshop as well. So we are actually gathering live data from the island of Crete and typically Saturn and Jupiter, and then do a processing workshop. We've had some remote sessions as well from Craig Stocks, and Craig Stocks, and then a couple other folks. So there's some very big names in astrophotography that do presentations. Of course, our state level as well, and surrounding states also come in and do that. So those sessions are about 45 minutes each, and we have a 15-minute Q&A session afterwards. That'll go on all day, and then another star party that'll be on a Saturday night. And then Sunday morning, we'll wrap up with any remaining presentations, and then we typically have a raffle with a whole host of items that are available and prizes.
It sounds like it's on its way to being a bigger event than it is. It certainly will get a draw, I think, as more people learn about it, and partnering with the Astronomical League is definitely going to help. That's a great organization that really does a lot. One of the things is the long-term goals for WVAA. I know that you're doing a lot to promote astrophotography and astronomy education and light pollution, but what are those long-term goals other than just a general thing?
Okay, so as I mentioned, we've partnered with a lot of folks already and local educational entities, either public and private, higher learning, STEAM-based organizations, in order to expose and promote, again, the science and art of astrophotography. We're affiliated with Dark Sky Initiatives that we've already mentioned. We host Outdoor Classroom, or we're a member or presenter at Outdoor Classroom. We've partnered with the local Clay Center, which has a planetarium and a whole program there, as well as the Department of Tourism for the state of West Virginia. And these keep expanding as we build, and also NASA. that has a facility here in the state. So these keep building, and we're just trying to provide more and more outreach and education in about every avenue that we can for astronomy and astrophotography.
And are there any plans for maybe a permanent facility?
Possibly. But that's kind of one of the things that makes WVAA unique. We may find a home for WVAA, a permanent facility, but the online community is such a benefit, again, without borders. So, if you're sitting in the island of Crete, or if you're in Australia, or you're, Alaska, China, wherever, you can become a member of WVAA, and it's all about the love of outreach and education and the community that is involved here. It's just such a friendly community, and everybody is always over ready to help out in any way we can.
That's wonderful. It really, I really love the fact that this is an organization that exists today, because there really hasn't been anything like this, and it's wonderful to me. I'm really glad in a way that it started where it did, because it's going to spread, and I think we're going to see other organizations like this popping up, which is a good thing. I think certainly some traditional astronomy clubs have members that do astrophotography, but then there's people that have no interest in doing astrophotography. So having a specific club for those people that are into it, and whether they're interested in just, maybe just doing some nightscape shots with a DSLR, or, having an observatory class telescope that they're taking pictures with an astro camera. You have people that are well versed in all those different things that can help them along the way, which is just spectacular. But again, I'd just like to touch on where people can go to get more information about WVAA. I know that we've talked a bit about it, but it can't hurt to put it out there again.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. And one thing that I did fail to talk about was the astroscape side. So we're very much into astroscapes, as we call them. Again, that's the nighttime or night sky photography. So we hold those workshops. Jonathon's one of the folks that will have one of those at our next upcoming star party, and has already volunteered to have one for a conference as well, along with Dave Green, both very accomplished astroscape photographers or nightscape photographers. So that's kind of where I started, and then I went the other route and went into DSOs and everything. But as far as contacting us, we will have some emails that will be posted shortly. We just obtained the Google suite of products where we have workspace, and we will have individual emails. So those are available to the public to reach out to us. We also have, as you mentioned, all of our social medias. We respond to every single one. And if you're interested in an organization, just learning about it or anything else, please reach out. We will help you there. We have a monthly meeting. You're welcome to attend. General public can attend those. We just switched gears on our monthly meetings. The first year, there's so much, the first full year, there's just so much that has to be done as an organization to get things established and up. They've been a lot of business meetings. So starting this year, what we've done is made them more public focused. So there'll be a topic for every single meeting that is out there, and the business meetings will be held totally separately for any member that wants to attend those. But this will be public focused on astrophotography, something every month.
I guess the easiest way to just if you want to just keep in touch with us is just follow us on Facebook, the West Virginia Astrophotography Association. You can send us a message on there. There's a lot of team members that have access to that page. So between one of us, we'll answer. We're usually pretty quick about answering any questions. And we kind of bounce people over to the Discord once they find us on Facebook. So, yeah, that would just be the easiest way I would suggest to. If you want to follow us today, you can just kind of follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Those are our main two platforms we're on right now.
Okay. And again, we'll put links up for all that.
Yep.
The other thing I'd like to find out, though, is how long have you been in the hobby? I know, for me, astronomy has been a lifelong passion for me. And I first did astrophotography back in the 1980s with film, 35 millimeter film. And I did it for a few years, but not regularly and not extensively. But I did play around with it a bit. And then life got in the way, and it wasn't until about 5 years ago that I got back into it. So the technology had changed a lot. But how about you guys?
So I've always, like you, been interested in astronomy. Passion as a kid. When I bought a DSLR, that was my first step into it. It started out landscape photography, and then I shot a few nightscapes and was really hooked. And unfortunately, at the time, I didn't have any telescopes or anything, and life got in the way. That's our theme for tonight here. So I had a career in the Air Force, 27 years. Did a lot of IT. Then when my last son came along and younger, we saw an ad in the paper for a family day at Camp Virgil Tate, and they had the Astronomy Club as well as a rocket club that was in. And my son was young enough, he really wanted to go build a rocket. So we went build a rocket. But the club members there had all their scopes out and everything. So we started talking, and he really wanted to get into it. So I was like, I've always wanted to do that. We'll jump into it. So I searched around for a little bit, and believe it or not, my first scope was a Celestron 11-inch SCT.
Wow.
So I started hard. And I did some planetary stuff and some galaxy stuff at that point. Started with the DSLR, moved up through the other things as well, and dedicated astro cams. Believe it or not, I even tried a webcam. So if that tells you anything. Went all the way through everything and learned a lot of things myself, and that leads to the organization as well. But then technology is so advanced now that it's just wonderful what you can capture. You can get Hubble quality images from your own backyard, and that's no joke about it. Bortle 7, Bortle 9 even. Some of the folks on TV, you see them shooting from downtown Tokyo. Kiev shoots from Tokyo.
Yes.
But if you're shooting narrowband in these locations, which is the Hubble pilot, made famous by the Hubble telescope, and one of my images that always inspired me was the Pillars of Creation. So I shot that from my backyard with the 11-inch SCT to see how close I could come. And man, it just blew my mind you could do these things. So, once you're in that far, you're hooked. It's very bad at that point. My OCD kicked in. So we went on down. But that's kind of where we're at. I've been at this stage of photography for about 5 years now, I would say, give or take, with the dedicated astronomy cameras. And everything before goes all the way back to film.
How about you, Jonathon?
Yeah, it's been. I started out in visual probably 8 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago now. That lasted about a year, and then I was just kind of like, I was following Astro Backyard on YouTube, and he had kind of suggested. I wasn't really happy with the telescope that I had. The views just weren't that good, and I found Astro Backyard's video on the best beginner telescope, so I kind of took the next step and bought the telescope he suggested, and it kind of just blew me away. And it really just started like putting my phone up to the telescope, taking pictures and just kind of wanting to show people what I was looking at because it was just so cool. And yeah, it just kind of took off from there. Like, you start down that rabbit hole, you get some gear and you take that first picture, wide field image with a wide field refractor, and then it's just off to the races. I started with, just kind of like a real modest wide field refractor. Astro Backyard suggested it again, so I just kind of followed his kind of like guides, tutorials, in the beginning, first year, and yeah, it just kind of became my life. And like I said, it just kind of turned into the YouTube channel, and then meeting other astrophotographers and meeting Bill. And it's just kind of grown, from that beginning journey from just visual astronomy, So people that are into this stuff just visually too, back in the day, you used to be really intimidated by the price of all this stuff. I never imagined I would get into like astrophotography like I am now. I never thought I could afford the equipment and stuff, and with the smart scopes now and stuff, it's just made it really affordable. So it's like, it's really easy to kind of make that switch now from visual over to astrophotography, or you can do both. You can use the smart scopes to kind of like show people what you're looking at if you just want to go that route. And yeah, it's just kind of like that. Yeah, kind of how it went for me.
It's wonderful. I'm just really glad that that you guys have met, because it's great that you're able to share a common interest and help each other out and learn from each other. And that's the benefit of any astronomy club, really, is it's a resource of how to learn about the hobby. And again, what you guys are doing is very specialized. And there are other clubs. There's telescope making clubs. There's general astronomy clubs, and but there really aren't very many, if any, astrophotography clubs other than WVAA right now. And I think that's going to change, and it's going to grow
Yeah.
because the hobby's growing. But I really appreciate all the time that you guys have taken to think about what I was going to ask, and to come out and answer the questions, and talk about the mission of WVAA and what you're doing, because it's so important and it's really wonderful to see. And I hopefully, if we can get a couple of people to come out and join your meetings and learn from what you're doing, then all this is worth it. And I just really think it's wonderful. So, anything in closing that you guys want to impart?
Yeah, this is a good introduction to WVAA, and happy to expand on any topic with anyone at any time. So it's like anything. You get two astrophotographers together, we can talk all night. So.
But yeah. Yeah, me and Bill talk like all day throughout the day. We're always shooting each other messages back and forth. Hey, check this out. Look at this data I got last night. You want to try to process this? Go ahead. It's just nice to have, those people that you can kind of form that community with. It's like it's a very niche, like you said, Wayne. It's a very niche like kind of thing. And there's so many times in the beginning I just had to kind of wing stuff and just see what worked. And I wasted a lot of time doing that, So having this in play, you're kind of able to skip a lot of that, that the learning curve that, you don't really have to struggle as hard as, the people before you did.
Well, it's excellent, and even just having another set of eyes to bounce it off of
Yeah.
is really helpful. So,
Well, I have one thing I'd like to go back on, if I can.
Sure, of course.
With the equipment that's involved, you can go as big or as small as you want, and that goes budget-wise as well. But the one thing WVAA has always encouraged and will continue to encourage is start where you are. If you have nothing, that's fine. You come out, you join us, you get to use a smart scope or one of our devices. Or if you have a cell phone, believe it or not, cell phones take amazing images right now. And there are methods for that. We can help you out in that as well. Or the smart scopes. The smart scopes, as I mentioned, they package about $3,500 worth of tech in a sub $500 package. And it's hard to go wrong there. That is the perfect launch pad into it. It makes it affordable. The capabilities are there. These are something that a family could look at as a joint piece of equipment, or get it for the kids for Christmas, something like that. But spark that interest, keep them engaged, and get involved. I mean, this provides so much time. I keep going back to the family friendly, but this gets the whole family out on a weekend, on a weeknight, or a night, and they get to enjoy building memories together, learning about the night sky and taking their own astrograph. This is something that was unheard of, years ago. Just wasn't possible.
Right. Again, I want to thank both of you for starting the organization and getting it up and running and spreading the word about astrophotography, and obviously spending some time with me and everybody who's going to watch and see this and listen to it. And again, we'll put up all the information. And again, I just can't thank you enough. I really appreciate everything you've done. Well, I had a fantastic time doing this interview and learning about the WVAA. Hopefully, you were able to find a nugget that will be helpful to you. Well, that's all for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope that you found our time together to be fun and helpful. If you have questions or episode suggestions, please email us at astroguypodcast@gmail.com or leave us a text or a voicemail at 973-404-0380. If you're not already a member, please join the Astro Guy Podcast group on Facebook. You can also visit our YouTube channel, the Astro Guy Podcast, for past episodes and other surprises. Please do all the podcast YouTube things, such as like, subscribe, comment, and share. It really helps us. If you'd like to support the Astro Guy Podcast and YouTube channel, you can buy us a cup of coffee. The money is used to maintain and update the equipment that we use to create and publish the show. The link is in the show notes. Thank you again for joining us, and may your skies be clear. As always, Carpe Noctem, seize the night. I'm Wayne Zuhl, and this was the Astro Guy Podcast. Thank you for listening. As always, your questions, comments, and suggestions are welcome. Keep wondering. Keep your eyes on the sky. Have fun. Carpe Noctem. Seize the night.